All right, so welcome back, and wow, you've been digging into this stuff. I really appreciate you sending over all these deep dive notes on this very first iOS 18.5 beta.
Yeah.
And our mission today is to look beyond just the surface level changes here. I want to figure out what these tweaks and updates, even in a 0.5 release, might be telling us about Apple's bigger picture.
Yeah. Sometimes the most revealing insights come from these iterative updates, like you were saying. It's not always about the headline-grabbing features. Sometimes it's about these subtle refinements and the groundwork being laid for what's to come.
Absolutely. Okay, so you jumped right in and downloaded this thing.
Yeah.
And it's not a small one.
No.
Clocking in at just under 8 gigs on your 16 Pro Max.
Yeah.
And that build number, 22F5042G,
Yep.
that G at the end definitely suggests we're in for a few more betas before the final release.
Oh, yeah.
Now, plus the iPhone 16 series got a modem firmware update to 1.4.1.
Interesting.
Which, interestingly, is a step behind the final 1.4.0.3 in iOS 18.4. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, it's fascinating that modem firmware being slightly behind is it could indicate a very targeted focus.
Okay.
Perhaps Apple is testing specific modem enhancements or fixes specifically for the newer iPhone 16 hardware.
Yeah.
Maybe even involving different component suppliers or addressing very specific network interactions. It begs the question, are they hyper-focused on optimizing connectivity or stability for these latest devices in this beta?
That is a really, really interesting angle to take. Now let's talk about the Mail app. You spotted a small but potentially very useful addition.
Yeah.
You can now toggle contact photos on and off right there in the app itself.
Yeah, right within the app.
Under the 3 dots.
Yes, very convenient.
That's way more convenient than having to dive into the main settings.
Oh, absolutely.
And you even ran into a little hiccup right after installing.
I did. Yeah, that quick access toggle for contact photos and mail feels like the kind of small refinement that shows attention to everyday usability. It makes you wonder if they're aiming to give users more granular control over visual clutter within the app.
Yeah, less is more sometimes.
Absolutely. What's curious, though, is that even with this new toggle, the appearance of company logos alongside contact photos still seems a bit hit or miss.
Okay.
It highlights the complexities of reliably sourcing and displaying that kind of dynamic information.
Right.
And yes, that initial bug where messages didn't load upon opening the app is a classic reminder that this is early beta software.
Always good to remember that. Okay, moving into the control center in the Home app.
Okay.
This sounds like a bit of a beta mystery.
It really was.
You saw this third, larger home toggle pop up.
Yeah.
Almost like a bigger version of the accessories widget you can put on your home screen.
Exactly. It really resembled that.
And then poof, it disappeared after a reboot.
It was very strange. Yeah, it just vanished.
What do you think was going on there?
That kind of here today, gone tomorrow behavior is definitely characteristic of early beta testing. It strongly suggests that Apple is actively experimenting with new ways to integrate HomeKit controls into the control center.
Okay.
Perhaps they're exploring a more visually prominent or feature-rich module for managing smart home devices.
Interesting.
The fact that it vanished so quickly could mean it wasn't ready for primetime testing, or maybe it was an accidental inclusion.
Yeah.
It certainly makes you wonder about their future vision for quick and easy access to your smart home ecosystem within iOS. What kind of user feedback might they be trying to address with a change like that?
Definitely something for you listening to keep an eye out for. If you see it,
yes,
let us know.
We want to hear about it.
Now, a visual tweak in settings under Apple Care and Warranty caught your eye.
Yeah.
With a new heading for individual devices.
Yes, it seems much better organized now.
But it sounds like you hit a brick wall trying to actually see the details.
I did, yeah. The visual refresh in the Apple Care and Warranty section, with that new separation for individual devices, seems like a step towards better organization, especially for users with multiple Apple products.
Yeah, makes sense.
However, encountering that persistent something went wrong error,
oh no,
despite trying to troubleshoot, really underscores the instability that can come with beta software.
Yeah, for sure.
It makes you think about the back-end changes they might be making to how Apple Care information is managed and accessed. And that report from the Apple Done Discord server about a completely new menu within that section.
Oh, really?
Hints at potentially more significant underlying changes that aren't fully functional yet.
Very interesting. The return of the Backtap banner.
Oh, yes.
You called it.
I did.
It's back appearing at the top of the screen when you double tap the back of your phone.
There it is.
You're still not a fan of the design, though, are you?
You know what's interesting about the return of this Backtap banner is Apple's apparent commitment to providing clear visual feedback for that gesture.
Yeah.
Despite the design not being universally loved, its reappearance now with improved fluidity suggests they are listening to feedback and iterating on the implementation.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder if they see this banner as crucial for the discoverability or reliability of the Backtap feature.
Yeah, could be.
The fact that you can still disable it in the accessibility settings is key, though.
Yes.
Allowing users to customize their experience.
Agreed. Choice is always good. Another familiar face returning is the updated UI in the recently deleted photos section.
Yeah.
After you authenticate, you're back to seeing recover all those filter options and the trash can for permanent deletion.
Right.
That recover all button does seem like a really convenient addition.
Absolutely. The reintroduction of this updated UI definitely streamlines the process of managing your deleted photos.
Yeah.
That recover all button simplifies things considerably.
Yeah.
And having those clear options for filtering and permanently deleting gives users more control over their photo library. This kind of back and forth with UI elements and betas is quite common as Apple fine-tunes the user experience. It highlights their iterative design process based on ongoing testing and feedback.
Yeah, let's talk about a persistent little annoyance.
Oh, yeah.
That individual cellular signal toggle in the control center.
Yes.
It's still showing an inaccurate signal strength compared to the main connectivity platter.
Right.
At this point, is this just a stubborn bug?
The ongoing inconsistency with that individual cellular toggle is definitely puzzling.
Yeah.
It's hard to say definitively if it's a bug they haven't squashed yet,
Right.
or if there's some underlying reason for the discrepancy.
Yeah.
If the main platter is showing the correct real-time signal strength,
Right.
it implies the data is available within the system.
Yeah.
Perhaps the individual toggle operates on a different refresh cycle or pulls from a less granular data source.
Okay.
It's certainly something to watch in future betas.
Yeah.
Will they address this inconsistency, or is this the intended behavior for that particular toggle?
Okay, let's move on to what Apple says they've fixed in the release notes.
Okay.
There are a few mentions.
So?
Notably a fix for that black screen issue with the Apple Vision Pro app.
Right.
On the initial iOS 18.4 beta.
I remember that, yeah.
And you caught a little typo in there too, didn't you?
I did, yes. Resolving the Apple Vision Pro app issue is important, especially given the focus on spatial computing.
Yeah.
That typo in the release notes referring to iOS 15.1 Beta 1 instead of iOS 18.5 Beta 1
Oh, wow.
is a classic example of those little errors that can creep into documentation.
Yeah.
Especially in early beta stages.
That happens to the best of us.
Indeed. The other resolved issues concerning StoreKit and writing tools,
Right.
while perhaps less visible to the average user, are still vital for developers.
Yeah.
And the overall stability and functionality of the platform, it gives you a glimpse into the different areas they are actively working on behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
Right.
The big questions.
The big ones.
Performance and battery life.
Yeah, everyone wants to know.
Your initial Geekbench 6 scores were well in line with what you'd expect from a first beta.
Yeah, just kind of average so far.
Yeah. And you're keeping an eye out for a potential return of those random reboots we saw in the early iOS 18.4 releases.
I am. Those initial Geekbench scores provide a very early snapshot of performance.
Right.
And as you noted, they're within the typical range for a first beta release. It's far too early to draw any firm conclusions about overall performance.
Yeah, I agree.
The concern about the potential reappearance of random reboots is definitely valid.
Yeah.
As those kinds of stability issues can significantly impact the user experience.
Absolutely.
It's a reminder of the inherent risks of running pre-release software on a daily device.
Yeah.
And your initial observation of potentially faster battery drain is also quite typical for a first beta.
Yeah.
As the system is still undergoing optimizations and various processes might be running more actively in the background.
So peering into your beta crystal ball,
Okay.
what's the likely timeline for the subsequent betas
Yeah.
and the eventual final release of 18.5?
Okay.
And what can those of us on the public release track anticipate?
Based on Apple's usual release patterns, we can probably expect iOS 18.5 Beta 2 around mid-April,
Okay.
likely the week of the 14th or 15th,
Okay.
and then a weekly cadence of beta releases following that.
Makes sense.
A final public release sometime in the first or second full week of May seems like a reasonable estimate.
Okay.
For those on the public track, The next update will likely be iOS 18.4.1,
Right.
focusing on bug fixes and security improvements before the broader release of iOS 18.5.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a way for Apple to address any critical issues before introducing new features to the wider user base.
Yeah.
And of course, we're all looking forward to the big iOS 19 Beta 1 announcement coming in early June.
Oh, yeah, that's right around the corner.
Yeah.
And you mentioned a little Apple tradition tied to these 0.5 updates and wallpapers.
Yes, it has become a fairly consistent pattern for Apple to release a new Pride-themed wallpaper alongside the release candidate, RC, of these 0.5 updates. This often coincides with the launch of new Pride Edition accessories, like Apple Watch bands.
Right.
So that's something to keep an eye out for if you appreciate those special designs.
Cool. And beyond that, as always, we can anticipate a few other smaller refinements and tweaks to appear as the beta process unfolds.
Absolutely.
Even in a 0.5 update, there's always something interesting to dig into.
Always something.
Thanks for taking that deep dive with me.
My pleasure.
It's fascinating how even these seemingly minor changes can give us a glimpse into what Apple is working on.
Indeed. It's a continuous process of refinement and evolution, even in these smaller updates.
So for you listening, maybe consider this. Which of these early changes, even the ones that seem buggy or insignificant right now, might actually be laying the groundwork for something bigger down the line?
Good question.
And how might these seemingly small tweaks ultimately impact how you use your devices every day? It's always that balancing act with beta software.
Yeah.
The excitement of the new versus the reliability of the stable.
I hear you.
Until our next deep dive.
Until then.
Keep those thoughts brewing. Thanks for listening.
See ya.